the way out of the mental loop. So, who overthinks the most? Many people assume it's those who are weak, insecure, or emotionally unstable. But psychology paints a different picture. In fact, people who overthink are often highly intelligent, highly observant, highly imaginative, and deeply self-aware. The very abilities that help them solve complex problems can also become the reason they create problems that don't exist. Think about a powerful computer. The faster it processes information, the more tasks it can run at once. But if too many programs stay open, even the fastest computer begins to slow down. Your brain works the same way. Overthinkers rarely have a lack of intelligence. They have a lack of mental closure. Every unfinished thought remains open. Every unanswered question demands another answer. Every possibility creates 3 more possibilities, until the mind becomes overwhelmed by its own brilliance. And that's why intelligent people often struggle to switch their brains off. Not because they can't think, because they can't stop. But here's the truth most people never hear. Your thoughts are not facts. They are predictions, guesses, stories, possibilities. Yet every day, millions of people make life-changing decisions based on thoughts that have never been proven true. Think about that for a moment. How many opportunities have you avoided because of something your mind imagined? How many conversations never happened because your brain predicted rejection? How many dreams quietly disappeared before you even gave them a chance? The greatest prison isn't made of steel. It's made of assumptions. And the worst part, most people don't even realize they're living inside it. Psychologists often use a simple phrase, asterisk asterisk, you are not your thoughts, asterisk asterisk. At first, that sounds impossible. After all, if you're not your thoughts, then who are you? Here's the answer. You're the one observing them. Imagine standing beside a busy highway. Thousands of cars drive past every hour. You don't chase every car. You don't jump into every vehicle. You simply watch them pass. Thoughts work exactly the same way. Some are helpful. Some are meaningless. Some are completely false. The problem begins when you climb into every single thought and allow it to drive your emotions. That's when anxiety takes control. That's when fear becomes your reality. So how do you break the cycle? Not by forcing your brain to become silent. That's impossible. Instead, you teach it something new. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, pause, take one slow breath, then ask yourself 3 simple questions. Asterisk asterisk, is this a fact or just a fear? Asterisk asterisk. Asterisk asterisk, can I control this right now? Asterisk asterisk. Asterisk asterisk, will this thought matter 1 year from today? Asterisk asterisk. Those 3 questions interrupt the automatic loop. They remind your brain to separate imagination from reality, and something remarkable begins to happen. Your thoughts don't disappear, but they lose their power, because awareness changes everything. The moment you recognize overthinking while it's happening, you've already taken back a piece of control. This doesn't happen overnight. The brain changes through repetition. Every time you choose reality over imagination, you're building a healthier neural pathway. Every time you stop replaying the past, you're teaching your mind that it's safe to let go. Every time you refuse to believe every fearful thought, you're becoming mentally stronger. Slowly, quietly, one decision at a time. Eventually, the thoughts that once controlled your life become nothing more than background noise. Here's something worth remembering. Your brain has one job: to keep you alive, not to keep you happy, not to make you confident, not to help you chase your dreams. It constantly searches for danger, even when life is peaceful. That's not a flaw. It's human nature. But your mind is a tool, not a master. And the day you stop believing every thought is the day your thoughts stop controlling you. So tonight, when you're lying in bed, and your brain tries to replay that embarrassing moment, or predict another impossible future, remember this: just because your mind says something, doesn't make it true. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is nothing at all. Let the thought arrive, notice it, then let it leave. Because peace isn't found by controlling every thought. It's found by realizing you never had to. If this video changed the way you see your own mind, then maybe the next time overthinking begins, you won't ask, asterisk asterisk, how do I stop thinking? Asterisk asterisk. Instead, you'll ask a much better question. Asterisk asterisk, do I really have to believe everything my brain tells me? Asterisk asterisk. And that single question might change your life forever. Your brain is lying to you. Have you ever noticed something strange? The worst case scenario almost never happens, yet somehow, it's always the first one your brain imagines. Why? Because your brain isn't trying to predict the future. It's trying to prepare for danger. Psychologists call this asterisk asterisk negativity bias asterisk asterisk. Your mind naturally pays more attention to threats than opportunities. Imagine 2 people compliment you today, but one person criticizes you. Which voice will echo in your mind tonight? For most people, it won't be the compliments. It will be that one criticism, not because it's more important, but because your brain believes it's more dangerous. And that's exactly where overthinking begins. One negative thought enters your mind. Instead of leaving, it invites another, then another, then another. Within minutes, a single worry becomes an entire chain reaction. This is called rumination ***. Rumination isn't problem solving. It's repetitive thinking without progress. Think of it like a rocking chair. You're moving constantly, but you're never actually going anywhere. That's why hours of overthinking often leave you feeling mentally exhausted, without solving a single problem. But here's something even more surprising. Your memory isn't a video recording. Every time you remember something, your brain quietly edits it. Tiny details change. Emotions become stronger. Embarrassing moments feel even more embarrassing than they really were. Over time, your own memories become distorted. The event stays the same, but your emotional version of it grows larger every time you replay it. That's why people often remember failures more vividly than successes. Not because failures happen more often, but because the brain keeps reopening those files. Imagine opening the same document on your computer every single day. Soon, that file becomes the easiest one to find. Your brain works the same way. The thoughts you repeat become stronger. The neural pathways become faster. Eventually, your brain doesn't wait for you to think. It starts the cycle automatically. One small trigger, a song, a place, a message notification, a familiar face, and suddenly, you're replaying memories you never wanted to visit again. This is how habits are formed inside the brain. Not only physical habits, mental habits too. Overthinking becomes automatic, not because you're weak, but because repetition literally changes the way your brain processes information. Now here's something most people never realize. The harder you try ***, not ***, to think about something, the stronger that thought becomes. Try a simple experiment. For the next 10 seconds, don't think about a white bear. Whatever you do, don't imagine one. What happened? The image probably appeared instantly. This psychological effect has been studied for decades. When the brain tries to suppress a thought, it secretly keeps checking whether that thought has disappeared. Ironically, that constant checking keeps bringing it back. So when you tell yourself, stop overthinking, your brain hears, keep searching for that thought, and the cycle continues. That's why fighting your thoughts rarely works. Acknowledging them usually does. Think of your thoughts like waves in the ocean. You can't stop the waves from coming, but you don't have to dive into every single one. You can simply watch them arrive, and let them pass. The problem is, most people jump into every wave. Every fear becomes a story. Every story becomes a possibility. Every possibility becomes a belief, until imagination starts feeling more real than reality itself. And then something dangerous happens. You begin avoiding situations that only exist inside your own mind. You don't send the message. You don't apply for the job. You don't ask the question. You don't speak your opinion. Not because you know what will happen, but because your imagination convinced you it already knows. And little by little, overthinking stops being a habit. It becomes an invisible prison. But the biggest surprise is still waiting, because the people who overthink the most often have one personality trait in common. And once you understand what that trait is, you'll finally understand why your brain refuses to stay quiet. Have you ever replayed the same conversation in your head, over and over again? Maybe someone looked at you differently. Maybe they didn't reply to your message. Maybe you said something embarrassing years ago. Yet somehow, your brain refuses to let it go. You tell yourself to stop thinking, but within seconds, the thoughts return, again, and again, and again. It's almost as if your mind has developed a life of its own. The strange part is, most people believe overthinking is simply thinking too much, but psychology tells a completely different story. Overthinking isn't a sign that you're thinking more. It's a sign that your brain believes something is still unresolved, and until it feels safe, it refuses to move on. Today, we're going deep inside one of the most misunderstood behaviors in human psychology. You'll discover why your brain keeps replaying the same thoughts, why intelligent people often overthink more than anyone else, and why the harder you try to stop overthinking, the worse it becomes. Because by the end of this video, you may finally understand the voice inside your head that's been talking all along. Imagine this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. The room is completely silent. Your phone is face down beside your bed. Nothing is happening. No one is talking. No one is texting. The world is asleep. Yet inside your mind, everything is loud. You suddenly remember something embarrassing you said 5 years ago. Your heart beats a little faster. Then another memory appears. A mistake. A regret. A conversation that never went the way you wanted. Within minutes, your brain creates an entire movie from moments that no one else even remembers. Sound familiar? If it does, you're not alone. Millions of people experience this every single day. But why does it happen? The answer begins with one simple fact. Your brain was never designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, missing one danger could mean death. So the human brain evolved into the greatest threat detection machine on Earth. It constantly scans for problems, even when there aren't any. In the past, those dangers were wild animals, natural disasters, or hostile tribes. Today, the dangers have changed. Now your brain treats social rejection, failure, embarrassment, criticism, and uncertainty as if they were physical threats. That's why one awkward conversation can stay in your mind for weeks. Your brain doesn't know the difference between emotional danger and physical danger. To it, both feel important enough to remember. But here's where things become fascinating. Most people think they're overthinking because they can't find an answer. In reality, they are overthinking because their brain refuses to accept uncertainty. Your mind would rather create 100 imaginary scenarios than accept one unanswered question. Did I say the wrong thing? What if they secretly hate me? What if I fail? What if everyone noticed? What if I'm not good enough? Notice something. None of these are facts. They are possibilities. Yet your brain treats them as if they've already happened. This is where overthinking becomes a prison. Not because reality is painful, but because imagination has no limits. Reality eventually ends. Your imagination never does. That's why one tiny mistake can become 100 different disasters inside your head. And the most dangerous part, the brain believes it's helping you. Every time it replays the memory, it tells itself, if I think about this long enough, maybe I'll prevent it from happening again. It feels productive. It feels responsible. It even feels intelligent. But in reality, you're not solving the problem. You're feeding it. Imagine scratching a small wound. For a moment, it feels satisfying, but every scratch prevents it from healing. Overthinking works exactly the same way. Every mental replay feels useful, yet every replay keeps the emotional wound alive. And without realizing it, you become addicted to searching for answers that don't exist, because your brain has confused thinking with solving, and that single mistake changes everything.